Hi, welcome to valuationpodcast.com, a podcast and video series about all things related to business and valuation. My name is Melissa Gragg, and I provide online valuation services for mediation and litigation based in St. Louis, Missouri. Today, we'll be discussing divorce, prenups, and parenting plans with Calina Costa Plotky. She's a family law attorney in Atlanta, Georgia with KF Law, LLC. She concentrates primarily on family law, which would include divorce or child custody, child support, modification of maintenance, alimony, prenuptial agreements, and the list goes on. What if somebody, let's say I am getting married. What if my spouse comes to me and says, I'd like you to sign this prenup? What do you recommend? So you're presented with a piece of paper and I read it because, it makes sense. Like, should I do anything else? Or if I've read it and I'm okay with it, is it fine? Or should there be some other things that I do?
So that leads into another great element that's used to break prenups in the state of Georgia is you're supposed to be able to have the opportunity to have your own independent counsel review it. And sometimes I get into cases where there's a large financial disparity. The male might be making $35,000 a year, whereas the female has family money and she's bringing in $10 million a year. So in those cases, we always have our clients pay for the other side to get an independent attorney. So they'll offer to pay for the attorney, but they can hire whoever they want to review it, and we'll work with the other side to come up with any changes that need to be made. But when there's a huge disparity like that, it's best to offer to hire the other person an independent counsel.
Well, and I actually think that that's a really smart idea, because just because somebody is paying for the attorney doesn't mean that attorney works for the person. Obviously, but
Yeah.
I think the prenups that we hear the most about are the ones that are given like weeks or days or hours before the wedding. Now, what's going to be the problem with some of those types of situations?
So here in the state of Georgia, judges do not have a problem with that. Oh. Even if you're knocked up and it's the night before the marriage and you get a prenup, and if you sign it and waive your right to have independent counsel review it, then they don't count that as duress. And so it's very hard in the state of Georgia to throw out prenups based on duress or anything like that. Judges believe that you can walk away from the marriage. I mean, yeah, it was planned next day and you spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on it, but that's minuscule comparative to getting into a contract that's going to screw you over in the end.
So there's really no requirements if you've been offered to have, but basically, if you really look at this, you should at a minimum hire an attorney to take a look at it, to maybe offer suggestions or changes, because it's kind of you're negotiating the contract, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, some of those terms can stick in everlasting because you're losing your bargaining power. Because if one side gets very favorable terms in the prenup, you can, of course, amend it later with a postnup, but what's their incentive to do so? Mm-hmm. Especially if they have the most favorable terms to them.